For people listening, we met out at the pool. Well, I guess first we met out at the pool, then we ran away from the pool. I won't go into that story too deeply.
I learned a lot about Zach this morning.
I learned a lot too. I mean, you shouldn't hold your breath when you're swimming. Like that was
backstrokes only, dude.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a thing. But we got ran off of the first place because I don't know, a guy was afraid of his boss getting upset.
Mm-hmm.
But we found it.
There you go, the boogeyman in the closet.
There you go. Yeah, he's suffered more in his imagination. I did poke the bear a little bit, and he got upset. But
Zach definitely poked the bear. Instead of maintaining, I mean, what did the guy use? He even used the word diplomacy.
He did. He
right?
did.
I'm trying to be diplomatic here.
Yeah.
And Zach's over there just ruffling feathers.
Well, it was ridiculous, but
agreed.
But we found a better spot. We did. We went over to Barton Springs, which is spring fed. It was probably 68 degrees, I think.
Something like that. And then the sun came out.
It was awesome. It was awesome. But we worked through what you called the wolf walk.
Mm-hmm.
Describe that and talk to me about what it was we were doing and the theory behind that.
So wolf walk, if you were to look at it from the outside, it's nothing new. It's essentially holding your breath in the water, walking on the bottom with a weight.
Mm-hmm.
The Hawaiians have been using that as big wave hold down training forever. It's mental toughness training is essentially what it is.
And that's to, like, when you get rolled by a big ass wave, you just hold your breath as long as you can till the chaos is over?
Right. Yeah. But you got to figure, if I paddle in really hard for a wave, I'm burning oxygen, my carbon dioxide's going way up. And so, we talked about the urge to breathe coming as an onset from a limbic response. The urge to breathe is based on high levels of carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
We burn oxygen, byproduct is carbon dioxide, right? So the idea of any kind of breath hold training, especially moving training, is to build a carbon dioxide tolerance. So that's like the general, what you call it.
Okay.
There's several ways to be able to do this. Dynamic apnea, you can kick back and forth in the water. Wolf walk is one of those. So wolf walk essentially takes walking on the bottom, which is nothing new, but I developed this after some time working in addiction recovery, where I started noticing when I would take these guys on this general mental toughness stuff, training, walking on the bottom, I started noticing that what they would say, I would ask them like, "Hey, why'd you drop a weight that early? Why'd you drop a weight?" And they would give me some response. And I noticed that what they were telling me in the pool perfectly paralleled the stories they would tell in group therapy session about what would drive them to relapse. So I started drawing these conclusions. As time went on, did some research. I was an English background, not a psychology background. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist, but in understanding the parts of the brain that fire at different times, the way they communicate with each other, and then understanding my freediving background as an instructor, I realized, oh my gosh, we're the same part of the brain that is hijacked by addiction and compulsive behavior happens to be the part of the brain that's firing when the urge to breathe kicks in. So carbon dioxide levels go up. The limbic system, or the animal brain, our fight or flight center, kicks off a response to it called the urge to breathe. The diaphragm and the breathing muscles start to fight us. But what's fascinating is the way the mind works. When limbic thought starts to kick in, it will often disguise itself as logic. Well, the limbic system is not the logical center of our brain. The prefrontal cortex is. That's where we're planning from A to B. We're making goals. It's where our sense of identity and belonging and functioning in society comes from. And I realized that there is a way, in many ways, to be able to wrestle control away from the fight or flight system in our brains and give control to our higher functioning brain. And that's what wolf walk does, is essentially we're going down, we're walking on the bottom, the urge to breathe kicks in, we go until we hit a wall, and then we talk about it. We do this in a few different rounds, and each time we're kind of progressing, going to a place where, man, we meet that dark wolf. We meet the limbic brain. We meet those past thoughts. It gets nasty in there, as you experienced this morning. The scariest place in the world is our own mind.
Yeah.
And as time goes on, we start doing little tasks underwater where we start wrestling control away from dark wolf and then feeding our light wolf. And really the whole purpose of it is to differentiate between truly logical thoughts and, hey, I am able to function logically and truly forward think here, versus dark wolf thought, which is, I need to save. I need to protect my house, right? Dark wolf is like the watchdog. The fight or flight brain is essential to our survival. It keeps us alive. Problem is when the watchdog starts running the home and the people who live in the home are scared and have no control over the watchdog, that's a problem. That's where we find compulsivities in our life. It's where when somebody experiences even PTSD, trauma, it will often result in us self-medicating in one way or another by behavior or by substance or whatever that teaches the dark wolf, oh, man, this drug or this drink or this behavior is a very quick way for me to feel safe, to remove these negative experiences, these scary emotions that I've hated since I was a child and which have been reinforced by traumatic experiences during my life. And so, as that dark wolf is trying to basically protect the house, if it's overactive, it will run the show. And so what we did this morning is, well, first, let's friggin' figure out which thoughts are truly logical, which ones aren't. Where is my dark wolf running the show? If it is running the show, how does it show up in thought, as well as how does it show up with the resultant emotions? And where do those emotions take me? If sadness is guised by anger, and that anger will put me into a place where I feel unsafe, I may react. I might get to a place where I will react with verbal, talking badly to your kids or your wife or a friend, flipping somebody off in traffic, or getting to a point to where you got to turn to the bottle again, whatever it is. What we want to do is learn where does this end and where does it actually begin? If I know I don't want to pick up the bottle, well, what the heck gets me there in the first place? If you can discover the types of thoughts that lead you to the emotions that lead you to the compulsive behavior, that's a tremendous amount of power. And so the whole idea of Wolf Walk is to peel apart the duality of our natures and be able to identify where is my animal brain, where is my dark wolf trying to run the show, and what does my light wolf need? Like, who am I truly, and what do I really want in this life? Do I want the dark wolf to be running the show or not? And there's a great amount of self-control and power that comes from identifying and then making changes that we see in the pool or that we see in the water, and then we apply in our lives. Like for me, I'd get done this morning, for example. I finished up and I felt lighter. And there's a sense of peace for me that comes when I realize that I don't have to be a victim to my own mind. I don't have to be a victim to my dark wolf, right? So that's kind of the identity. I think you probably know, my brother passed away due to a heroin overdose. Somebody laced his stuff with fentanyl. He was clean for 7 years essentially, and died of an overdose. And the heroin might have been what physically killed him, but to me, I just can't shake the thought that Michael died of becoming a mystery to himself again. All this work put into recovery is essentially getting to know yourself and knowing when you're in control and when you're not, surrendering control of things that you can't control, and then just making little changes day by day and sticking to a regimen to live a clean life. And he reaped a tremendous amount of blessings from being clean. And logically, you would never turn back to the drug that destroyed your life in the first place. That doesn't make logical sense. Well, there is no logic in that. It is illogical in nature. But that's what I'm getting at, is when the dark wolf is running the show, when the animal brain is running the show, the logic center isn't making the choices anymore. We become hijacked by our own fight or flight brain. And
do you feel like that happening sparked a greater commitment within you?
Oh yeah.
To keep the reins on your dark wolf?
Yeah. I think keeping the reins on my dark wolf, in all transparency, has come more as a byproduct of me feeling a bit more of a push on helping other people out. After he passed away, my buddy told me I needed to write a book. I started doing that. I developed Wolf Walk as a methodology. I would work with some of the guys out at Fort Bragg and a couple of different places. And in me, I mean, you saw how it was. I'm the first one to go because I need it just like everybody else does. I just did Wolf Walk, I think 3 days ago. And today, already tapping into my brain again, I was noticing different things today than even 3 days ago, because, what's influencing my life today might be different than a few days ago, right? So my wife mentioned this to me. Something had happened, and she just told me, like, John, you seem a lot more like, what did she say? It was, you seem a lot more just okay when things go wrong, or you seem a lot more at peace or something. She said something along those lines. Sorry, babe, for not listening implicitly. But it was something along those lines. And I started thinking about it. I was like, I guess I'm not as reactive anymore. I don't think I'm as volatile as I used to be. And I started going back through them like, holy crap. Like, Wolf Walk isn't just for everybody else. Like, this, me trying to help other people and being in the water with other people and being the guy that's running through it with everyone else is I'm noticing changes. I'm noticing that certain things that used to shake me and send me down a downward spiral, they just don't have the same kind of effect. I feel way more in control now. And granted, like, dude, I'm still a mess. I got plenty of stuff that does bother me, and I'll be working through and trying to continually unveil the mystery of self for the rest of my life. But it's definitely had an impact on me, So I think that's been the byproduct a bit, of trying to help other people out. But the fire very much so got lit after my brother passed away.